The following program was paid for by Templar Real Estate. The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of the staff and management of WMTR. As always, it is advisable to consult a professional before making a major decision. It's time now for the Templar Real Estate Talk Show. Here's your host for the program, Joseph J. Zoppi.
Hello, my name is Joseph J. Zoppi, a real estate investor, consumer advocate, author, managing partner of Templar Real Estate Enterprises. My background was in corporate America a long time ago, and I was focused mostly on the IT consulting arena for financial field. I worked with Citigroup, JP Morgan Chase. I always would say that I was screwed or attempted to be screwed by the best of Wall Street. While I was working there, I thrived on the pressure. I loved it. Today, I have pressure again to ensure that my firm is successful and those individuals that invest with us are successful. I'm not a real estate agent. Let's be clear. I have individuals on staff that are agents, but we are not a brokerage and I'm not an agent. My company is a real estate investment firm. We buy houses for cash. We have agents that sell houses through the traditional real estate multiple listing service. We invest individuals' money in real estate that is safe and they'll receive a nice rate of return. We also purchase apartment buildings. We do joint ventures with other real estate investors. We're not speculators. If anyone has a apartment building they're interested in selling, a house they're selling, we're always willing to talk and see if we come to some type of agreement. This show will go over everything that is about real estate, those things that impact real estate, the economy, interest rates. We'll discuss trends. Real estate is one of the biggest investments an individual has, so it's important that you know as much as possible. You could always see us on the web at TemplarBuysHouses.com, or you could always call us 973-240-8593. What I'm going to go through today is 12 things that a person should be looking for if they're going to use a cash buyer. Today I'll probably go over 2 of them, and in subsequent broadcasts we'll go over some additional ones. Okay, first one is very, very important. How long has the company been in business? So one of the things that you could do for that is you could get on the internet and go on to the state website. And on the New Jersey state website, you could bring up any business, how long they've been in business, who the owners are. You just have to query or search on the business name or the owner name. So we encourage that. We encourage you to look for who we are, how long we've been around. We're very transparent. And any company you're doing with, there should be transparency. That's extremely, extremely important. One of the things that I will have on my website is all the different things that we're talking about today in terms of the 12 things you should be looking at when you use a cash buyer. So you'll be able to see the websites you could go to and check everything out. The other thing that's very important, it's probably one of the most important things, is are they part of the Better Business Bureau? So originally when we went on to the Better Business Bureau, I was like, well, it's just a organization. It's nothing that, we're just going to pay some money and we're going to be in there. And I realized afterwards that it wasn't just that simple. One of the things that they look at very closely is everything that you do business with, everything. So I was a little taken back by it, but again, from a transparency perspective, I had no issues with that. One of the things they looked at is our website, and they questioned numerous things on the website. They said, no, you have to change this. This is not clear. It's ambiguous. You need to do this differently. You need to do this differently. Certain web pages we just eliminated because it was just, it wasn't to their satisfaction. So we wanted to make sure that we were very clear, we were very articulate in our message, and that any of our customers would understand that. The other thing they look at is the existence of your business. Now, you need to be in the business, working in the business for 6 months or more. They go through the state records to ensure that you've been in business for at least 6 months. The other thing they look at is contracts. So we have purchased numerous houses, and they were scrutinizing our contracts, which is fine. You know, some of it they had lots of questions on. So one of the things that real estate investors do is when they purchase a house, like we do, we'll put a house under a particular corporate name, usually an LLC. We buy another house, we put it under another LLC, and so on and so forth. So they had lots of questions on that because they were assuming that everything was going to just go under Templar, and that's not the case. The reason for that is, and I had to pull up lots of documentation on this because they kept questioning it, is that when you have multiple properties under one LLC, you increase the risk. So in the event we get sued for some type of catastrophe, like during a rehab, someone gets hurt, they could potentially sue us. Now, obviously, we have insurance, but with that being said, is the exposure is a lot greater if we have 2, 3, 4, or 5 properties under one LLC. So we went through that extensively. Another thing that's very important is mediation and arbitration. So because we're a member of the BBB, we say that if there is a problem, we'll go to mediation in the event that one of our customers has an issue. And then it could go to arbitration where that's binding. So we see this as extremely important for anyone to do business with, a cash buyer or even contractors, because I hear horror stories all the time about contractors. So I highly, highly recommend using the BBB for that. And then you could look at their history if there's any complaints associated with them. And we have an A rating. We have no complaints. But even with the contractor, I've encountered stories almost every week where a contractor did not complete what they needed to do. They took the money. They're not finishing it, they're delaying it, so on and so forth. And, that's a really sensitive thing on our side is to ensure that we are meeting what we're supposed to do, but also for any contractor. Some of these people are spending $50,000, $100,000 on some of these contractors, and they're not doing what they should be doing. I had a woman that called me. She was out of East Orange. She said, Joe, bought this house. I wanted to rehab it and just bring it up to high standards for the community. She wanted to make the community better. It was more altruistic than making money. And she gave him $100,000. He did half the job, maybe 3/4 of the job, and then just took off and I think went back to like Eastern Europe or somewhere. And she couldn't do anything about it. We came in and we purchased the property, but she went through a lot, and she was just very stressed at the situation. So being part of the BBB is extremely important. We encourage people to look at that, and you could do searches on it. You'd go right into the BBB. You could pull up our name or anybody else's name and ensure it's there and that we have good standing or anybody else has good standing. I think that's extremely important. So thank you very much for this segment, and we'll talk about real estate and selling real estate in our next segment. Thanks.
Life can be a roller coaster, and sometimes you need to sell your house fast. That's why there's TemplarBuysHouses.com. Maybe you're downsizing, getting a divorce, having health or financial issues. If so, head to TemplarBuysHouses.com. TEMPLAR BuysHouses.com. TemplarBuysHouses.com will buy your house quickly and without hassle. If you've inherited a house that is vacant, contact TemplarBuysHouses.com. Dealing with them is easy and quick. No high-pressure sales tactics, and you won't have to fix up the house. They will buy your house as is. You pick the closing date and when you move out. No commissions and no hassles. You are given a price, and that is the price you get. Plus, they don't need to qualify for loans because they buy with cash. Contact TemplarBuysHouses.com. TEMPLAR BuysHouses.com with an A rating from the Better Business Bureau. Call 973-315-7990. That's 973-315-7990.
Welcome back. Again, this is Joseph J. Zoppi, real estate investor, consumer advocate, author, and managing partner at Templar Real Estate Enterprises. You can reach us at TemplarBuysHouses.com. You could drop us an email. If you have some questions, if you want something brought up on the show, we could possibly do that. If you have any concerns that you're running into with another real estate investor or real estate agent or attorney, anything to do with real estate, you have some issues, please drop us a note and we'll try to help you out. You could also call us at 973-240-8593. So I'd like to talk about pricing houses when we sell. When we sell as well as when we're selling for someone else. That's always the most sensitive subject, is getting the price that the seller wants. Part of figuring out the best prices, there's a little bit of art associated with it and a little bit of science. We have to look at the comparables in the area, what the houses are selling for or sold for, and you have to look at a lot of different factors that aren't always tangible, and which makes it somewhat difficult. Sometimes it's very easy. When the market's very hot, it's very simple. When the market starts cooling down, well, that's where the challenges become. And right now, the market, first of all, it's because it's starting to get towards winter time, is cooling down. Inventories are increasing. And also just holistically, the market is cooling a little bit. And it's throughout the country. Certain areas have continued to do really well, and other areas are not doing as well. We're getting some pullbacks in Seattle, California, New York City specifically, are some of the areas. And those are the bigger areas, but sometimes first the big areas move, then it starts moving across the country. So I'm going to give you a couple examples of, you can pull it up on Zillow, some of these, and just look yourself, and you could see where some people have made some mistakes. We had a individual, and we're not going to really state the town or the person, but we're just going to give you a overall what had happened, what had occurred. So, individual called us. They had a house that was approximately over 6,000 square feet. It was towards the shore. It was probably about 10 minutes from the shore. And they were listing it approximately $900,000. It wasn't selling. They said, Joe, can you come in and take a look at it? And she said, well, I was, an agent at one time, or I studied to be an agent, and, I put in the information, and the realtor property value said it was $900,000. So I'm looking it over, and I'm saying, you're not going to get it. And she didn't get it. It was, I think, on the market for over a year. And I said, you're going to have to cut it substantially. And she was interested to see if I could buy it. I just couldn't. It was a beautiful house, though. It had a basketball court, swimming pool, like a tiki hut. It was really, really nice. I wish I would have liked to buy it, but just the price wasn't there. And she needed a lot of money for it, based on the loan. So, I told her she's going to have to really cut it substantially. And she couldn't at the time because of some financial and medical issues. But that was over a year and a half ago. She listed it. She took it off the market. She put it back on the market. It's down to like $789 now. And after she put it on the market, it's still been on the market 6 months, and, there's no bites. So, you can't be looking at these, automated type of, calculations like in Zillow's estimates, things like that. You cannot do that because they're not pricing it correctly. There was another one in Rutherford that I saw, and it was an investor. This one wasn't a client of ours or a potential client. It was 3 Prospect Terrace in East Rutherford, so you could always pull that up. And he started selling it at $530,000. This thing was completely redone. It was beautiful. I looked at the pictures. They were beautiful. Put it on the market in January 2019. So he started dropping the price because he wasn't getting any bites on it. Dropping 20,000 here, 10,000 there. So after 12 months, it sold for $405,000. So it was about $125,000 reduction. So just because you build something and it's nice and you rehab it, that doesn't mean you're going to get a number that doesn't work within that neighborhood. So that was a big mistake. I don't know if that was the realtor telling him, or that was just himself saying, well, I'm going to put so much money in it and I want a rate of return of X. But $125,000 was a mistake. Difference. Simple as that. There was another one in Central Jersey that we spoke to an individual. She's going through a divorce. She said, Joe, I got to sell. And we went in there. It was a contemporary type house. So it was very modern, and contemporary houses don't sell as quickly. They just don't. So we gave her a price. This was about 4,500 square feet. So it was a big house. And we gave her a price. She said, I need to sell. Her husband says we need to sell. And we put a price about $510,000. And they didn't like that price. They said that we're going to get the top agent in the town, and she's got lots of contacts, so on and so forth. I said okay, and said we're putting it up for $600,000. So that's a $90,000 difference. Well, right now it's still on the market. It's 200 days on the market. They dropped it from 600 to 10,000. Guarantee over the winter time they're not going to be selling it for that price. So after a while the listings get stale and people don't look at them, and then all of a sudden the prices start dropping considerably. And then what happens as a result of that becomes a snowball effect. So all of a sudden someone starts seeing it drop in X amount of dollars, and then they say, well, we're going to wait, or we're going to put in a low offer. And the homeowner starts getting more frustrated, and it just snowballs. So pricing a house correctly is very, very, very important. We have one property right now that we listed. We thought it was listed too high. She wanted to list it at that price. We said, I think it's probably about $20,000 less than you should be listing it, but she wanted $20,000 higher than what we said. So, first week, someone came, looked at it, offered her like $30,000 less than the asking price. She came down $20,000, and they had an agreement. So all is good, right? But that is not the case. So she took a $20K hit in her mind, even though it wasn't priced correctly. And she said, I'm not giving in anymore. And they went through inspections. And as always, there's always things that need to be fixed. When we do a rehab, we do everything soup to nuts, and we still have to fix things. And it's just, that's the way, the name of the game. It just is. So she said, I'm not going to fix anything. It's going to be sold as is. So after a while, there was some discussions back and forth, and then they didn't hear anything from the potential buyers. So 1 week went by, 2 weeks went by. So the seller started getting nervous and started fixing things. Then we contacted the buyer, and they went dark, basically, and she lost the deal. Now it's been on the market for 3 or 4 months. She reduced the price again, and now a new house came on the market right down the street, which is $30,000 less. It's a smaller house. It's got 1 less bedroom, but it's completely fixed up. So that's going to challenge it. Even though it's smaller and it has 1 less bedroom, that's going to be an issue. So 2 things. You need to price it correctly. Second of all, you need to be flexible in terms of the inspection reports that come back. We have inspection reports that come back all the time from our houses, and I get very frustrated. So let's be clear, there's emotion involved in it, but that does not mean you should throw away a deal and say, I'm not going to fix anything. It's still a business transaction. You need to do it, and you need to work with that. And that's where a good agent will work with you to negotiate what is good and what you should give in on, what you shouldn't give in on. One of the things that you need to remember, a lot of people lean on their real estate attorneys. Real estate attorneys are good for the most part, but they're not business people. And you got to rely on the agent or someone else. If you know someone that's good and in the market and understands all these things, because you need to get them fixed. But you have to balance it out. So you might have to give some money. You might fix a few things. And that's the way we normally do it. We have an idea of what we need to do on when we sell the house in terms of how much we have to fix or correct before we even put it on the market. We usually allocate a certain amount of money, and we try to march to that so we can control our profit and loss, and it works really well. But even though there's emotion involved with any of these transactions, you need to take a step back and understand it, because you have other houses that are always coming on the market, and the freshest house usually gets the attention, whereas the older houses that start staying on the market for 90 days, 100 days, they get stale. So, you could always work with us. Give us a call. We'll give you our opinion. You might not like it, but the opinion's going to be a good opinion. And, there's always that case where someone could be right and you could get, the full asking or whatever the price is on it. But I'd say 80% of the time, we're right or we're pretty close to right. And if we're wrong, we're going to know quickly, and then we have to move quickly. And then we have to reduce the price of the house. So one thing is to be wrong. The other thing is how you work on that and what you do as a result of being wrong. Yeah, sometimes we've purchased houses where we've remodeled them, rehabbed them. And I had one in New Milford, and it was a 4-bedroom. And we thought, we did the remodeling, and we had one good bite, but we weren't getting any additional action because it had a small kitchen. We knew that. But they were looking for a dining room. So what we were going to do is we were going to take it off the market pretty quickly. And one of the bedrooms, which is on the first floor, we were going to put French doors in, and it could have been dual purpose. And we've done that before where we've converted a bedroom, and it could be either a dining room with French doors, or it could be a bedroom. So it goes to, you know, whatever the type of buyer that is looking for it. But within 2 weeks we had it sold or under contract, and we sold it. But again, it's acting quickly and how you're going to do and what you're going to do with it. So thank you very much for this segment, and we'll be talking about some real estate news coming up. Thanks.
Life can be a roller coaster, and sometimes you need to sell your house fast. That's why there's TemplarBuysHouses.com. Maybe you're downsizing, getting a divorce, having health or financial issues. If so, head to TemplarBuysHouses.com. TEMPLAR BuysHouses.com. TemplarBuysHouses.com will buy your house quickly and without hassle. If you've inherited a house that is vacant, contact TemplarBuysHouses.com. Dealing with them is easy and quick. No high-pressure sales tactics, and you won't have to fix up the house. They will buy your house as is. You pick the closing date and when you move out. No commissions and no hassles. You are given a price, and that is the price you get. Plus, they don't need to qualify for loans because they buy with cash. Contact TemplarBuysHouses.com. TEMPLAR BuysHouses.com with an A rating from the Better Business Bureau. Call 973-315-7990. That's 973-315-7990.
Welcome back to Everything Real Estate with Joseph J. Zoppi, real estate investor and managing partner for Templar Real Estate Enterprises. So I'd like to go over mortgage rates. There was a slight uptick this past couple of months in terms of mortgages, but it's very slight. As a result of that, the reason for that is there's a decline in the recession fears. So depending on what newscast you hear, you'll hear there's going to be a recession, there's not going to be a recession. Take some of that with a grain of salt. You know, it depends on their political affiliation, so on and so forth. So you really got to watch that. So right now, as of today, the 30-year fixed rate is 3.75%. That's the average. 15-year is at 3.2%, and the adjustable is at 3.44%. Jerome Powell, which is the Fed chief, he told Congress last week that the interest rates are on hold for now and will remain that way unless the economy deteriorates. He said there's no elevated risk of recession, and he's described the current outlook as moderate economic growth with a strong labor market, inflation near 2%. Yeah. One of the things that he has spoken about is the reduction in manufacturing. So there is some weakness, and that has to do, obviously, with the tariffs. Now, from my opinion, the tariffs were necessary, and because we were dancing with China for 10, 15 years, and they've never really changed their stance. They haven't yet, but it is affecting their economy as well in terms of those tariffs. And a lot of companies now are moving out of China, and that was going on before the tariffs, but it just has accelerated. And that's going to put additional pressure on them as well, and I think that's a good thing. As well as certain manufacturing coming back to America. Some are moving to Vietnam, and they're big on manufacturing now and starting to really pick up, which is a good thing, and less reliance on China is very, very good. In terms of the recession fears, like I said before, that's always up in the air. I'm not seeing anything right now. I've talked to a number of people on Wall Street as well, and for the most part, they're not seeing that. I'd like to also now go over a couple other things about loans. So for the 10th year in a row, Quicken Loans has had the highest customer satisfaction. A lot of people go to Quicken Loans. It's a very good organization. And another one is Fairway Independent Mortgage. They are rated number 2 by J.D. Powers. Now, a couple of the other ones that are really even rank higher, but based on the criteria, they didn't rank. And that is Navy Federal Credit Union, USAA Federal Savings Bank, and Veterans United. Those organizations, whether they're doing insurance or from a mortgage perspective, are always very good. The veterans that support the veterans, they're very good from a customer satisfaction perspective, and they always win high marks. So I'd like to thank you very much for joining me. And again, I'm Joseph J. Zoppi from Templar Buys Houses, and you can call us at 973-240-8593. Thank you very much.
The preceding program was paid for by Templar Real Estate. The views and opinions expressed